This podcast contains spoilers, explicit language, and is not meant for anyone younger than 13. Do not harass any of the names mentioned in this episode. Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to John versus Film. And by the way, spoilers. Spoilers. This one has major spoilers. And the reason I'm emphasizing on the spoilers is because this is a recent movie. It's still out in theaters, so giving you heads up right now, again, in case you missed the disclaimer or the first couple of times I've said spoilers. This this review will have spoilers. All right. But anyway, yes, I am talking about the latest Batman movie, which is called The Batman, directed and co-written by Matt Reeves, who I absolutely love his Planet of the Apes movies. He's one of my favorite modern day directors. It is also co-written by Peter Craig, and other writing credits give to Bill Finger. Created by Batman. Batman created by Bill Finger with some help from Bob Kane. But anyway, I'm probably going to keep this one a bit short because, in case you couldn't tell with my voice, I'm sure you'll be able to tell once I start sniffling and all that. I am not feeling 100%, but I need to get this out in time for the Saturday. That's the grind. But yeah, I'm just gonna try to keep to the points. I'm gonna try not to divulge too much. But yes, I've seen this movie twice now. First time in IMAX Friday, and literally just last night as a second viewing. And just from me watching the movie twice now, you could probably tell I really love this movie. I legit enjoyed it. Um, I knew I was gonna enjoy it, but man, this movie kicked butt. But yeah, anyway, here's how it goes in John versus Film. I start off by talking about 5 things I like, and then I go into 5 things I dislike or criticisms. But for this movie, they are very much nitpicks. I will not sugarcoat that. And then I will end the podcast or the review with my overall thoughts. So, yeah, anyway, let's get right into it. So for the guy likes, these are more of I loves, as in I really love what this movie did. So the first point I written down was that this is a visually amazing movie with a clear artistic style emphasized with great lighting and cinematography. So, yeah, what I mean is this movie has a real strong style, a very, you know, it's a very noir film, but the lighting is absolutely great. You know, there are dark moments, but there's always, great lighting making some fantastic contrast, and we get to see light, shadows, and all that. It's a very visually pleasing movie. You know, it Gotham, for example, it does feel, still like it's an American city, but it has that gothic element to it. The goth in Gotham has returned. It's not just a phase, mom. But yeah, you get, some really good settings, and then you got some neon lights, and it's a very gorgeous movie, visually alone. In fact, just and the cinematography, it is work of art. I would literally a lot of these shots I could see, just hanging, as a framed picture on a wall. They are seriously that good. I especially love the upside down Batman shot that we saw in the trailers. That was that was brilliant. With the lighting of the fire, just Batman being upside down, make it feel more like a bat, hanging from, you know, the ceiling or top of a cave or whatever, and it is so good. So good. Um, so yeah, there's that. And again, I would be talking more about the shots and giving more examples, but like I said, I'm not feeling well. So, but don't worry, at the end I will be telling y'all something, so in case you missed it. Uh, yeah, I will just say this isn't going to be the last time I talk about the Batman for sure. So my next point is, how do you pronounce his name? Uh, da, 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 pronunciation, okay. Let's see. We're going to go to YouTube for a second.
Hi there, I'm Michael Giacchino.
Giacchino, okay. So, Michael Giacchino, I absolutely loved his soundtrack. It is perfect for this movie. His theme for Batman himself, the dun 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 dun, it is very catchy, and it has been stuck in my head ever since I've listened to it in the trailer. When I first heard it, but I've let me like tap into Batman's theme for a little bit. I feel like that it took some inspiration from Jaws, as there seems to be like, it's building up. And this movie, with Batman himself having a lot of horror traits to him, it really, while, there's something heroic to Batman's theme, it sounds a little bit more horrifying as well. There's that horror element to it, and that Jaws like feature, where it's just kind of building up on itself, getting more intense as it goes. And Batman's theme is not the only standout soundtrack, as Riddler's theme with ba 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 ba. What is it? Riddler theme. Yeah, so Riddler's theme, it has, this rendition of another song that in the movie Riddler, he was an orphan who was, in this choir singing the song for Thomas Wayne's election. Yeah, there's the first sniffle. Shoot, I should have looked this up a little bit. It's gonna kill me if I don't um look it up. Yep, there's sniffle two. Yep, the sniffles are coming. See, I am not feeling okay. So part of me wish I could delay this review, but I gotta get it up Saturday. So original or whatever. Uh, see, trying to read it. Maybe I have to go on Twitter. This is very bad. I should have looked this up earlier, but yeah, let's search Twitter. I know, very reliable site. Riddler theme. Alright. It's like It's on the tip of, Ave Maria. Okay. It's so Riddler's theme is like this very you know, demented take on Ave Maria, and that's very good for the Riddler's character. It reveals a lot about the Riddler, but there's also something inquisitive, about Riddler's theme, yet haunting as well. I really love that. So, yeah, that took longer than I would have liked. Again, apologies. I should have looked it up. My bad. On my next point of what I love is that the performances in this movie, all of them were fantastic. If I were to give, well, first of all, Paul Dano, I will talk about him first. He did an excellent job as Riddler. He does so for the Riddler in this movie. He is, a little bit of a different take, but at the same time, he borrows a lot of what has been done. He you know is able to play off this very deranged individual, but something geeky about him. You know, in some scenes, you know, where he is a nerd. To put it lightly, but yeah, no, he does a great job of capturing who the Riddler is. This very egotistical, maniacal psychopath. You know, acting his revenge on the city. But is also like really into his riddles and puzzles. There's something giddy about him. That reminds me of the Riddler portrayal in the '60s Adam West show. Funny enough, with how he laughs and stuff. But there's, elements of Batman the Animated Series Riddler, like how there's like this egotism to him, where he does believe, and to some extent, that he is the smartest individual in the room, and to some extent, he is. But he also throws a tantrum when it doesn't go his way. It's just a very great performance. And before I talk about my very favorite performance of this movie, I gotta give um credit to John Turturro, playing Carmine Falcone, Andy Serkis as Alfred, Colin Farrell as Penguin, Jeffrey Wright as being the new Bess Gordon, you know, being Batman's BFF, and Zoe Kravitz, Selena Kyle was very excellent. All of them were very excellent, but my favorite has to go with Robert Pattinson as Batman. Now, not necessarily Bruce Wayne, but that's fine because the thing in the movie is that he doesn't want to be Bruce Wayne. He wants to be Batman. He's so focused on being Batman. In fact, most of the movie, he is Batman. We don't get a lot of Bruce Wayne scenes, and I'm fine with that. Especially since he does such a great job as the Batman. You know, he was very much able to really act in that costume, give Batman this menacing, you know, like appearance, or not appearance, but just demeanor. I guess that would be the best word, demeanor. There's some like very intimidating. Also like if you like look at Batman's eyes in the movie, how much emotion was conveyed just through looking at his eyes alone. It is very excellent work from Robert Pattinson. I have to say, well done. He did a fantastic job, and I think he might be my favorite, you know, live action portrayal of Batman. Next point is Matt Reeves really captured and understood the Batman character and world. And yeah, pretty much that's what it says. I think this is the most accurate portrayal of what people would consider of who Batman is and what people would think of Gotham when you say Gotham. And also, with other characters like Gordon, Riddler, even Penguin, you know, Falcone, he does his research all around. He makes them feel like these are the characters we've known for years. Like he's while still, adding some, of his like own take, takes on it, of course. But there's something to it that feels so genuine from the source material. You get a sense that he really is a fan of the Batman franchise and he really understands these characters. He especially understands Batman himself, as we really get, a very much of a character arc going through Bruce and Batman that we haven't really seen in previous, live action Batman movies. Where, funny enough, he's always kind of like gotten pushed to the side a little bit in a lot of the films. But yeah, this is about the Batman, and he pushes the Batman emotionally in this movie. And for the final thing that I really love about this movie is that this is a very well written movie. And I am so glad, it gives, this very long, like, it's a long overdue detective story as well for a character known as, the world's greatest detective. It's weird that it's taken us all the way to 2022 to get a live action movie where he's finally being a detective. The only um outlier, I guess, would be Batman the movie from 1966. There is a little detective element in there, but yeah, this is a detective noir type of movie, and it gives, a bit of an ambiguous ending with Gotham being flooded. There's Batman says it's going to get worse before it gets better at the end. But anyways, yeah, it showcases Batman having to be a detective. It's weirdly something that's been missing in live action Batman for a really long time. So that's really great. And yeah, this is a very well paced, story as well. It's the movie's almost 3 hours long, but it doesn't but it feels just right. I can't wait to watch this over and over again. There's just I wouldn't really miss a scene. You know, it's it's also very like an engaging mystery as well because here's the thing in the trailer we know who's killing you know these figures or whatever, but we don't from the trailers they don't tell us why and that's the mystery of why what there is some sort of mystery going on you know And what's great about this movie is that it's probably even better a second time around, even after finding out all the clues, because you get to really see the clues, in a better light as that's a great. Now, I know I'm kind of mumbling and tripping over my own words, but I guess what does tell a really great mystery story is that it's not reliant on its reveal. That it can still be a good movie, if not, you know, this case better. What makes a good mystery story is one that you can revisit, in my opinion. The one that's not like, oh, the twist or reveal, that's good. That was the one thing that kept me hooked, but the rest was garbage. No, the rest is fantastic. Even that's not the mystery element. This does take, Batman into some dark places, questioning his morals, whether his path of vengeance is right for the city. You know, like it puts Batman into a position where he has to question himself, question if what he's doing is the right thing, essentially. And at the end of the movie, while there are some dark moments throughout the entire movie, like this is a very dark tone movie, it ends with some hopefulness. It's not a depressing movie because it ends with this hopeful message, with Batman, realizing that he needs to change his ways and is looking to try to be more of a hopeful figure. He sees what he really, or at least he's starting to see what he needs to be, even if he doesn't realize it yet. He is starting to see that vengeance is not the only thing he needs to be. He needs to be something more. So it literally gives you a light at the end of the tunnel for this movie. So yeah, those are all the things I love, and again, I probably could have talked a lot more about them, but if yeah, my cat was very talkative for some reason right there. But anyway, what I'm saying is, if I was feeling better, I would talk more about this, but I am feeling great, feeling like crap because of allergies. So, yay, allergies. So, let's get on to my dislikes slash criticisms. 5 things I dislike. Well, these are definitely nitpicks because I really love this movie. So, yeah, so my cat is deciding to use the letterbox right now. That's a bonus dislike, just my cat's inconvenient timing, creating a lot of noise. So try to ignore that if you can hear that. So anyway, my first nitpick is that there are too many things to like about this movie. Yeah, so in this podcast, I try to keep it focused. I limit myself to 5 things I like, and then try to find 5 things I dislike. So this is kind of a cheat dislike, but at the same time, it's just like this movie's too good. I love this movie. It is really top notch. Next point is not a lot of Alfred scenes. It was kind of weird to see Alfred not being in a lot of scenes. Don't get me wrong. When he is there, he is fantastic. Andy Serkis did a great Alfred. And Alfred does have an impact to this movie, but it kind of just felt weird that, you know, Alfred was not in the movie as much as I thought he was. In fact, I think it was weird, so like before the movie was coming out, Colin Farrell was saying, hey, I'm not even in a lot of, scenes for the Batman. I'm only in like a couple. But I thought Colin Farrell's, Penguin, he was in more scenes than Alfred was. And the trailers kind of led me to believe that there was going to be some sort of, more of a congestion or I don't know. Congestion is what I have, but that I don't think that's what I guess from the trailers I thought there was going to be more going into Alfred and Bruce's relationship than it did, but again, it is a nitpick because what we did have is fantastic, and I don't think I would change the movie to just add more Alfred scenes. My third. Sorry, I don't have a tissue on me, so I'm kind of screwed. um, but yeah, the third thing I dislike is it's this tiny moment. It's when Bruce and Selena they're talking at the bat signal in the middle of the movie. They're talking about what they're gonna do to find this girl that Selena was looking out for, and um. So anyway, Batman and Selena they get into a bit of an argument with Batman trying to interrogate, so or ask what relationship does Selena have to Falcone, and I should say Batman he forced Selena to a point where she just revealed Falcone's my father, and then oh yeah, like Sentry she says he's my father, and then Batman like he like steps back, I guess. He pulls back and he's says sorry. Just like here's the thing. I've read The Long Halloween, and I've also watched the Long Halloween adaptation, so I knew going in that Falcone was Catwoman slash Selena's, father. I knew that going ahead of the movie. I just felt how they executed that reveal felt a little bit too cliched. I think that could have, been revised a little bit, but it's not too bad. It's just a very tiny moment. The scene overall is great. Um, Fourth point is that I think they could have pushed the Thomas and Falcone relationship a bit further. So what I mean is, in the movie, you know, it's been revealed that Thomas actually asked Falcone to take care of this, reporter who is going to leak stuff about Martha, being in Arkham, and um, Thomas only wanted Falcone to scare the reporter because the reporter wasn't going to take any hush money, you know. But Falcone went too far and killed the reporter, So it made this, kind of revelation of, hey, maybe Thomas was not as good as we thought. But Alfred kind of reveals that no, after Thomas found out Falcone did that, you know, that he was going to go to police and confess everything, I guess, for this happening. Um, so it made it so, no, he was a good person that just made a very bad decision, which I think could have been fine. It's just, I don't know. It felt very much, they were still trying to keep the, oh, he's still a good person. I liked Telltale Batman's interpretation of Thomas, who was the biggest, pretty much criminal mastermind, in Gotham in that story. But this isn't Telltale Batman. But just to kind of give you a reference, I guess I would have loved to see there being more of a relationship to them, But I will say I do think it is very they do still leave it ambiguous to who killed um Thomas and Martha Wayne, because the thing is, you know, Bruce, after Riddler reveals about the history of Thomas and Falcone's relationship, Bruce, as Bruce, goes to Falcone and asks what was up, and Falcone reveals, yeah, that's what happened. But he thinks that Maroni, you know, was the one to kill the father, but he doesn't have evidence. It's just that's what it looks like to him, you know, because, Maroni was afraid that Thomas was going to be in Falcone's pocket. And at that time, Maroni and Falcone were, had a, rivalry, you know, but Alfred says that no, he feels like Falcone was the one to kill Thomas and Martha because, Thomas was going to confess to the police, but he says he doesn't know. It could have still been just some mugger from Joe Chill. And I'm gonna, well, nobody's caught the killer in this universe, but I just said Joe Chill because it's always Joe Chill. But yeah, so anyway, I'm more inclined to believe that it was just a random mugger, you know, than it being Falcone or Maroni killing um Bruce's parents. But because here's the thing, I while I wouldn't put it past Falcone to do it, the thing is, you got Gotham is also a very broken city in this movie. I think, kind of people misinterpret, Alfred's statement as he knows for, he is 99% sure Falcone did it, but in reality, I feel like Gotham is such a broken place, even when Bruce's parents were still alive, that it could have just been some random mugger. And it's also kind of the thing to point out is that both Falcone and Alfred said Thomas Wayne was a good person, you know, but who made a bad mistake. They just said it in different ways. So I think it's kind of interesting that there is still no clear answer to that. So But yeah, and my final dislike is that strangely enough, it feels like a lot of people are weirdly not giving this movie enough credit. Even like a positive reviews, I kind of just see these like weird complaints about the movie. I guess I don't know. It's just like they're downplaying it somewhat. I know this isn't really a movie, but it is something I dislike. It's just kind of the online discourse. Um, just people trying to put this movie down when even like the positive ones, some of the positive ones are still like, it's not that good. Like it's good, it's really good, but it's not a masterpiece or stuff. I'm just like, what? Did we watch a different movie? This movie is art. But anyway, my nose is bothering me, so yeah, again, I wish I could have done a longer episode on this. It really does deserve it, but my body does not want to agree with me. So, my overall thoughts are this is an instant classic that truly deserves to be called The Batman. This is easily one of my favorite superhero movies of all time and a strong contender for Best Batman Movie. I full heartedly believe this movie will age like fine wine with more people appreciating it. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. I think it's still a bit too early to say where I would personally rank, you know, the Batman, but if I were to do like a tier ranking, it would be S tier. It would be top tier. This movie is a work of art that truly does capture what Batman is. But anyway, that's it for this episode. The announcement that I was hinting at is that I'm currently writing an essay that I plan to be like sort of an audio video essay. That's currently in the works. So I'm going to do more of a deep dive into how this movie, portrayed Batman himself. So look forward to that on my YouTube channel. I don't know when it's going to come out. It's going to come out when it comes out. But yeah, I just wanted to point out this is not going to be the last time I talk about this movie on my YouTube channel. But yeah, anyway, thank you all for listening. If you're listening to this on YouTube, please subscribe, press the like button or the dislike button, leave a comment, tell me what I'm doing right or what I'm doing wrong. And you can find this podcast on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean.com, Podcast Addicts, and I think that's it. Yep, I'm pretty sure that's it. But yeah, and also make sure to follow me on the socials down in the links, below. And again, thanks for listening. I hope you have a fantastic day. Take care.